My name is Linda, and let's talk Xenophon. So I actually been thinking of doing this video for a while, and in the beginning I was thinking of doing it scripted, like information telling about Xenophon, and then I thought like, well, no, screw it, because I'm no expert. And I'm not gonna claim I'm an expert, I'm not gonna claim I know what he's talking about, or I mean, he's talking about horses, but anyhow, no. I'm just an opinionated girl with opinions. But what bugs me is that there are all these people referencing all the old masters like Xenophon, Pluvinel, Grenier, Newcastle, all those guys. And then when you start talking to them, they actually haven't read them. They all just know what other people said about them. And that annoys me, because then when people claim things and I'm like, well, I don't think he said that, or why do you think that, or what's your opinion about it? And people don't know because they haven't read them. They don't have their own opinions. So that's why I'm doing this video, I guess, because for once I want to like inform people, maybe, or like putting the knowledge out there, not just, well, there's this old guy and he written good things about horses, full stop. And it's like, okay, well, what did he write? Why is it good? Is it really good? And I mean, I would love, after this video, if people actually read this book or any other book and then please disagree with me, but come and discuss it with me, have arguments with me, with like because you have read it and you have opinions. I don't even have notes, so if I say something completely wrong, please correct me. But Xenophon was a Greek person. He lived outside Athens around 300 BC. And he grew up in an equestrian, like rich equestrian family. I think his dad was a general or something. I'm not sure. But they were rich and wealthy and had horses. He fought in wars, Romans, I guess, or Greek, I'm not sure. I'm not that into antique history. But if you are, he led the 10,000s, which apparently is a famous legion or whatever that tried to overthrow the Persian Empire. But they failed, I think, and he managed to get them back safely. So that was good. But then he allied with the Spartans. I don't understand why or how, in what matter, but he was a very Spartan friendly person, and what I understand, he spent a lot of time with them, and they were like the arch enemies to the Athens, so he was exiled. But anyhow, what I'm trying to say is he was very experienced in military stuff. He wrote several books on the matter. He's written 2 that has with horses. One is about how you're supposed to conduct yourself as a cavalrist general. I haven't read that one, it's on my to-do list, but what I understand, it doesn't have anything to do with actual horses. It's just how you are supposed to, I think, behave and strategy and things like that, and how do you like manage your men. And then he written this book on horsemanship, which is about horses. And the thing is, it's really short. I mean, you could probably read through it if you're a fast reader in 20 minutes or less. It's super tiny. I mean, this book is slim. And this book, I will show you if I can. So, of this book, this much is his writing, and this is not even all his writing, because in the end of each chapter it's like 2 pages or more explanations for the things that he has said. So in case it's actually like half of this, that is his actual book. And if you can see here, it's very spaced and very large font. size on the font. So I mean, it's a small book, people. All right, so let's delve into what Xenophon actually says. He actually starts to. I'm not going to like give you the whole book. I'm just going to give you some examples. But he starts the book with what you're supposed to look for in a horse, and what you should look out to when you're buying a horse. He also says that a young horse, you don't tame it, as they use the word in here. You give it away to someone who knows what they're doing. And this he says, well, it's obvious. You put away your horse for training to someone who's now, it's obvious. So that was something apparently you didn't do yourself. I mean, we're talking about rich people here. I mean, they probably didn't do that much. I mean, they could pay. They could afford it. He says a lot about the horse groom should do this. Like the horse groom should put him out in crowds, or he should lead him so he can see a lot of things and like hear a lot of noise, so he gets used to it. Not that you should do it, your horse groom should do it. I don't know if you can see this, but I have put all these post-its. For the pink one is where he's nice, and the yellow one is where he's not so nice. And here's actually the first thing he says that is pretty nice, and it's that if the young horse is scared for things, if he gets frightened, you should teach him that it's not dangerous, and you shouldn't do this by getting angry. But to calm him. So that's quite nice. That it says that you shouldn't get angry with the horse. You should calm him down. Don't get angry if he gets scared. But then 2 pages along, he says this. I will translate it into English from Swedish, so bear with me. It is good to ensure that he's as willing to obey even when you put him to speed by beating him. So yeah, because he says that if you put your horse in canter, you should be able to make a quick halt, and willingly turn around. And then he says, well, you should also see that he's willing to do this while beating him. Because a non-obedient servant or an undisciplined troop is as worthless. Okay, this is loosely translated from Swedish, but he says, but a horse that doesn't obey isn't just useless, he's equal to a traitor. Or he does as much damage as a traitor. So in one go, he says, well, you shouldn't be angry with the horse if it gets scared. But on the other hand, he says, well, the horse should be able to run if you beat it. I mean, this can be a translation thing. And beat it, maybe not be beat it like we thinking, like whipping, beating it. It could be as, that you push him along or something. But it could also be beat him, because we don't know. We don't know what he actually meant. Oh yes, okay. How to get a horse. Or no, not to get a horse, but he says that, well, a horse should be proud. You want to ride a proud horse. You mean, imagine like having a troop and you have the general in the front and you want the horse to be like, that's the horse you want. How do you do that? And he says that you shouldn't do that by pulling on the reins and kicking with the spurs, because then you will force the horse to do this. And it will be very tense and it will be very ugly. And no, that's not how you should do it. You should be able to do it on loose reins with a horse that's proud. And that's very nice. I mean, that's very, 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 that's a nice thing, right? You should let the horse be proud in himself and show it to the world. Yes, that is nice. That is a nice thing. But how does he get the horse to do this. I mean, I can explain this in one way, and that is that he rewards the horse every time the horse is proud. And that's a nice thing. I mean, I would agree on that. Like, encourage the horse every time he does the right thing. The only thing is that Xenophon, like, he says all these nice things that you should, like, let the horse be proud of himself and carry himself and reward him when he does this. Yes, but then he forces him to do these things by not so very nice means, if that makes sense. So he says you should get 2 bits. One should be smooth, with big, I don't know what it, like big round, not balls, but beads maybe, I don't know. I will show you a picture. And the other one should have heavy of these beads, less diameter, and they should be thorny. Yes. And the thorns should be sharp, because when the horse like take the bit, he will drop it. He will not want to touch it because it's thorny. And then when you switch back to the nice bit, he will be happier and more obedient because he has experienced the nasty bit. Yes. And then when the horse walks proudly with the smooth bit, you will caress him and say, "Good horsey, you're doing right now." Because that's very nice to put the nasty bit in. And then when the horse gets like, "Oh," then you be like, good horse. Good horse. Now you're doing nice. So now you don't need nasty bit. That's very nice. Yeah. Yes, and he also has this part that he on one page says that you should have your exercises in different areas and various terrain and these sort of things, because that's more fun for the horse than if the exercise and the place is always the same. So that's nice. And then you come to the other page, and he says that the gods have given men the means that with the help of the word communicate, so you can teach people by explaining things. But a horse, of course, you can't explain with words what you want him to do. So if you give him a treat every time, or not a treat, a reward, when you reward him every time you do as you want, and then you punish him when he doesn't, then he will learn how to serve you right. And I mean, in some ways, I mean, that's what we do today as well. We put pressure, and many people do this, put pressure on the horse, and release when the horse is doing what we want. So yeah, you could, I mean, yeah, in some way we're still doing this. It's still this thing that what is reward and what is punishment. He says that the horse will willingly jump over obstacles if he will expect a relief every time he obeys the given sign. All right, but then we can talk about little how he says you should teach a horse to jump. So he says this is how you should teach a horse to jump over a ditch. If the horse never before have jumped over a ditch, you take him by a loose rein, and then you step over the ditch yourself, and then you pull him with the rein until he jumps. Okay, fair enough. I mean, it doesn't sound that bad. I mean, like, but then it says if he refuses, someone will give him a good beating with a whip or a crop. Yes. And then he will jump, and much further than he needed. And further on, or the next time, it won't be necessary to beat him, because he will jump just someone comes from him from the behind. Yes. I mean, this is, you can read this where it says, well, you should reward the horse every time he does something nice, and then you should punish him when he doesn't. And then you can read into, well, punish him. It could be just saying no, or it can be beating him with a whip. And it's, yeah. Also, when it says that when he's used to this, when he's used to jumping, like when you're on the ground, then you get up on the back, and then when he's about to jump, you add the spur. And this way you will teach him to jump with the spur. And maybe this doesn't sound too bad. I mean, like, that you put on the spurs when he's supposed to jump. Until you see the spurs! They have a picture of the spurs right here. And that is not a nice spur. That is a point. Yes, I don't even have words. He has one more, he has plenty, but he has one more line which I think is pretty, I don't know, interesting, but I don't really understand it myself. Maybe it's the translation, maybe it's just that I don't understand it. Or not, it kind of felt like you could interpret it in different ways. Yes, so what he says is that if you're on a normal ride, or riding normally, you will drive him or ride him until he's bathing in sweat. And then, but if you will get off and tack off immediately when he rears beautifully, I'm not sure if he means rear or if he means like pull himself up. I'm a bit unsure because the Swedish word is a bit the same. But if you do that, then he will be sure that he will continue doing this by his own free will. And I don't really understand why he says you have to drive him until he's bathing in sweat. Or if he just means like, well, you ride him until he does the thing that you want. And as soon as he does this, then you will get off and that will be the reward. So you can interpret him in different ways. So in some aspect, yes, he has a pretty nice view on horses. He says you should be nice to them and not be angry with them. But at the same time, not sure if I agree that like whipping them hard with a whip when they don't want to jump is necessarily nice. The thing I find most interesting about this, about the old masters, is, I mean, this is an insight in how they looked and taught horses 2,500 years ago. And some of it is very similar to today, like how you're supposed to stand when you're grooming them and stuff like that. Other things is very much not the same. But I think that's the most interesting part. And I think absolutely there are things we can learn, because I mean, he was a very experienced general and a cavalryist. And I mean, of course, he will have gotten experience. This was a very long rant. If you bared with me until the end, thank you. I hope I want to do other masters as well. Xenophon is the easiest because he has the shortest book. And he's not very complicated. He doesn't say very complicated stuff like other people do. But maybe I will do this again, maybe not. We'll see. But I still urge you to read the things yourself and form your own opinion. And if you want to come back and discuss it with me, I would be thrilled. So I hope maybe you enjoyed this a little, and thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you another time. Bye!